So it's a great opportunity to present our initiative as well as the work that we have been doing. Thank you so much to TIFR ICTS, especially Shravan, for this initiative. And uh, because I think some of you would be hearing about Thoughtworks and the initiative, what we call as engineering for research or e4r, for the first time. I have few introductory slides, so but I will try to paste them appropriately so that we could finish in time. But if you find a slide interesting enough, I could slow down and explain the things. So so we already collaborate with research organizations on some of the computational challenges. 30-meter telescope is something that we have been working for last 5 years or so in developing their control system software, as well as user interfaces and data management. For SCAR radio telescope, we have been working with IUCA as well as NCRA. And we have also been working with Ashoka University for an epidemic simulation software at a very large scale, what we call as Bharat Sim. And this work has been funded by Gates Foundation. So these are some of the examples that I have given. And how do we collaborate? We identify a problem, then we engage for solving the problem as a proof of concept, work towards solving this problem completely to a satisfactory extent. And then once the solution reaches to a point, it could be published. Then we co-publish and also try to release this source code in the public domain. And finally, after a few months, we try to co-explore for funding. This is mainly for sustenance. So how did E4R begin? So we started, asking this question: have we taken the progress for granted? That includes laws of the nature, intangible things like that, but also tangible things like seeds, materials, medicines, telecommunication systems, computing hardware and software both. But not only these, but also policies such as health policies, economic policies, ecological and education policies. And we perceived that there are some computational challenges which scientists and policymakers face often while working on these. So, what do scientists and policymakers face? The nature is complex, of course. If someone asks me what am I made up of, I can answer as atoms, which is the right answer. But I can also say I'm made up of cells, which is also the another correct answer. So, depending upon the abstraction that someone is working upon, we look at this as a the multi-scale or multi-level view of the universe, and complexity emerges out of these via interactions like scale, diversity, network, and dynamics. So how do scientists observe the universe, study the universe? So evolution of scientific apparatus we see over the last 400 years. The Galilean telescope, which was pretty simple, but if you look at the European Southern Observatory's very large telescope, it's fairly complicated apparatus. And the way these the observations are recorded also had changed. So what used to be these little scribing of Galileo has now become something like a data grid. So this is a data grid at CERN. Now you need to make sense of the data in order to discover the science out of it. So how does it happen? So you have this role of computational science. You take nature data, which could be empirical as well as hypothesized, and then you build nature models out of it. And some of those nature models could survive the rigor of scientific method and could become a generally acceptable theory. So the computational sciences itself has been evolving over time. So in interest of time, I will quickly run through this. But as you can see, data science and machine learning is just one aspect of it. There are other things that are necessary. So identifying patterns and anomalies is something that data science and machine learning do. But what could be beyond that is the transdisciplinary science, where the traditional boundaries of physics, chemistry, biology, all they disappear, and it becomes an emergent continuum that needs explanation. Future we don't know. So how does this computational science work? So it is a complex approach, definitely, because there is a complexity of nature models. Like, for example, we saw in the earlier talks, whenever we think of cells interacting with each other or neurons interacting with each other, it's a complex, mechanical or electrochemical phenomena. So there is complexity associated with the natural phenomena. And there is complexity associated with the models themselves, like the software that we write. So it could be computational complexity in terms of space, time, software engineering complexity, such as technical data, and so on. So it becomes a difficult mix of two complexities together, which means that now we need to adapt the scientific method, which is the only way of doing science. It's systematic yet exploratory. There are four ways of doing science. We know: observations and experiment, the way Galileo did theory building, the way Einstein did computer simulation, the Lorentz way, and data intensive, which is the fourth paradigm of science, as it is now called. And it is critical to adapt computational tools from control systems to data processing to collaboration to methods. For example, collaboration, when we speak of, imagine 5,000 authors writing single paper, how difficult it could be. Even if we consider 99% of the people spend time in building the system and only 1% people, like 50 people, wrote that paper, it is still a complicated affair. To methods, as in crowdsourcing or citizen science, where if you need to classify a million galaxies, then one person cannot do. So how do you come up with methods of crowdsourcing and citizen science where this could be made possible by common people? So here scientists, they do wear multiple hats. They are, first of all, domain experts, but they also, are mathematicians, authors, speakers, academicians, salesmen, as we know, and project manager once you get the funding, and to manage the funding. But we are asking too much from them by being programmers, data scientists, and system designer now. So Thoughtworks, in this case, intends to have a symbiotic partnership whereby we could say at least some of that computational burden could be shared, and by that way, we would also be able to contribute to the progress of science as well as progress of computer science. So this is the vision with which we started. There are two observations. There are ambitious big science projects that are facing computational challenges at par or greater than those faced by the internet giants in their infancy as well as now. And the second observation is that there are advances in computer science and software engineering that can significantly contribute to progress of science. Examples could be machine learning, big data ecosystem, user interfaces, software development practices, and automation, and so on. So our vision is to build a community of academicians, scientists, and engineers working closely on solving some of the challenges associated with scientific exploration. And what we try to derive out of this, what we call as the computer science of Horizon 3. So Horizon 1, 2, and 3 is: Horizon 1 is business as usual. It's a known paradigm. Horizon 2 is known challenges. The problem is very well known, but no one knows how to exactly solve this. And Horizon 3 is new frontier. We don't even know what we don't know. So in order to conserve our energies, what we call as e4r thrust areas, 6 of them. It's a holistic approach. As you can see, the 6 thrust areas have a good mapping on the scientific method. So I will quickly run through each one of them. So cyber physical systems is the way by which you write control system software, interface with sensors, actuators, and controllers, and extract data out of it. Now, once you get the data, you take to it to your data processing pipeline. That's where data intensive computing comes into picture. Think of it as a combination of old school supercomputing, high performance computing, new school big data ecosystem, as well as accelerated computing, and so on. While doing so, you also generate a lot of artifacts. You need to keep track of these artifacts in some way in a linked fashion, and that's where digital libraries come into picture. Digital libraries are the digital cousins of physical libraries, not just books, but you can also think of museums and so on. But your raw data sets, your process data sets, your algorithms, your intermediate results, your final results, everything can be linked together within this paradigm of digital libraries. In addition to that, you could also have computational models with which you could do virtual experiments, and that's where modeling and simulation comes into picture. And lab informatics is something which you can think of as running the show for a large scientific organization. Everything from managing equipments to knowledge to people, funds, and everything, but all linked again. And as well as you can also think of some automation there. And artificial intelligence is basically to add smartness to each of the things above, like a smart cyber physical system, smart data into computing, and so on. So here AI is not just limited to with machine learning, AI as in the all three schools of thoughts like deductive, inductive, abductive reasoning, and so on. So as you can see here, deep learning, machine learning, these are all inner circles. AI sort of in general sits little outside of it, which also includes things such as knowledge bases and so on. So we would like to see artificial intelligence holistically. So what are some of the AI augmented scientific discovery projects that we have done at e4r? So this is the work that Dr. Divya Oberoi of NCRA has already explained in the earlier session in the morning. So this is radio solar imaging. The second one is star formation histories work that we have done with Dr. Yogesh Vadadekar at NCRA. And this was basically to identify star formation histories patterns using deep learning techniques. The third one is, which is an ongoing work for weather data analysis at IIT Bombay. In addition to that, we have also participated in the drug discovery hackathon, which is an ongoing hackathon at organized by the government of India, and we are applying some of the state-of-the-art techniques there in discovery of medicines. So here in the second case of reinforcement learning, which is an ongoing one for phase 2, and we are trying to match the protein structure with the medicine structure using reinforcement learning. And this third one is identifying the effects of medicine, side effects, especially on liver, and could it cause some injuries. In addition to that, we also have applied some machine learning techniques for classification techniques, especially for amino acid chains to study their antimicrobial properties such as antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral, and so on. We have also applied, you developed some of the work outside AI, but I will, in interest of time, I will skip this. For now, this is data intensive computing and accelerated computing. This is modeling and simulation for epidemiology as well as planetary exploration and so on. So I would like to spend few minutes, minutes quickly on some of the formidable trends that we have observed so far, and we try to organize an annual event around that. So the first trend that we had observed was
sorry, Harshal, in the interest of time, can you wrap up in a minute or two if you don't mind?
Yeah, this will be wrapped in a couple of minutes. Yeah, thanks. So the first one is data deluge. We organized first symposium in 2018. The second one is complexity, as in complex systems. The third one is artificial intelligence. We asked this question, is there any logic of discovery, such as will AI ever win a Nobel Prize? And the fourth one is we just concluded couple of months ago on feeding of Moore's law. So to sort of give you a bit a brief idea about what the third symposium was about, we looked at the spectrum of AI-based automation, increasing role of AI from fully manual to fully automated. And the question asked is, will there be ever AI Nobel laureates? And we are trying to sort of search hope among the hype that between the two far apart these pieces of fully manual and fully automated, we imagine like there would be two intermediate phases where there would be computer assisted discovery, as we are doing data driven scientific discovery, and there could also be human assisted discovery where the most of the work would be done by AI, where humans will only assist in making certain decisions. There is a challenge, grand challenge that has been announced, or I guess it is being announced, which is the Nobel Turing Grand Challenge of 2050, where the idea is that AI would have made a significant enough discovery, not necessarily winning a Nobel Prize, but significant enough discovery in an automated fashion. So it's a grand pursuit and it's a grand engineering challenge, which we definitely acknowledge. According to US National Academy of Engineering and later on also by Royal Academy of Engineering in UK and Chinese Academy of Engineering, there are 14 engineering grand challenge. The 14th one is our guiding principle, which is the engineer the tools for scientific discovery. So thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take.
Time for a question, if anyone has any.